Hello everyone, I'm Maria and this is Pictos channel, and today we continue to explore helmets of Samnites while making some drawings as we go along. And the second type used by Samnites is so-called Samno-Attic helmet. The Samno-Attic helmet is a development of the Greek, Chalcidian and Attic helmets from the 5th century BC. This helmet forms, slightly modified, is found in Italy from the 5th century BC to the 1st century AD. However, most examples date from the late 5th to early 3rd century BC. This type of helmet is found mainly in southern Italy, especially in the Samnite Lucanian burials. It usually forms part of the Samnite panoply, which also includes 3-disc breastplate or muscled cuirass, belt, and greaves. Several complete sets have been found in Campania and near Ruva di Puglia. The Samno-Attic helmet is the one depicted in the famous fresco Return of the Warrior from Paestum. It is also the most frequently depicted helmet in the Samnite Lucanian tomb paintings and on Campanian pottery. The term Samno-Attic reflects both the connection of this helmet with the Samnite tribes and also its origin from the Greek Attic helmet. These helmets were always made from a single piece of bronze. They have a quite low, close-fitting dome with a pronounced relief ridge surrounding the helmet. This feature is very common to many Greek helmets. The Samno-Attic helmet left the face completely opened. This edge could be a straight line or form a small V-shaped indentation in the center. However, this helmet never had a full nose guard, and the chin guards were attached with hinges, as on the Attic helmet. The helmet had a cutout for the ears, and at the back the dome of the helmet extended downwards and covered the back of the neck. At the very bottom the rim might even be slightly turned outwards. Many helmets have some form of decoration. In addition to holders for crests and feathers, they also could be a small bronze wings. The wings are a specific Samnite detail. Another common element were these embossed eyebrows. And please remember this detail, it will be useful in one of the next videos. The helmets were made in the same way as the previous ones. A single sheet of bronze was first forged in the convex shape. Additional elements like this rim that goes around the dome or the eyebrows were hammered into the form from the inside of the helmet. And as I understand this process, this is similar to pressing metal into the matrix with the press, but in this case with a hammer into the form. And hammer marks are visible on the inside surface of the helmet. Therefore, the use of this particular technique is not questioned by the researchers. The final stage is work with the outside part of the helmet. They gave the helmet a preliminary polish, attached the chin guards, and installed additional elements such as crests or feather holders. And by the way, I forgot to mark the location of some Attic helmet finds on the map, so let's do it now. Attachments for feathers and crests could be made in several ways, but there were two main methods. The first way is a removable feather and crest attachment made on the basis of the bronze stripe. In this case, everything was attached to the bronze stripe, which was then attached to the helmet. The tubes could be made conical or in the shape of springs. And in the center there was an attachment for the crest. And the second way, as on this particular helmet, is a non-removable attachments for the feathers, in the form of independently installed tubes. They are attached to the helmet either by rivets or by soldering. And the tubes could be also partially covered with the bronze wings, sometimes. Almost always all these elements were arranged across the helmet, and only on one of the helmets was attached lengthwise. Now let's talk about the cheek guards of the Samno Arctic helmets. Cheek guards have been preserved on about 3/4 of all helmets found, and this is quite a lot, considering their age. Interestingly, very few cheek guards have special holes for the chin strap. Perhaps the chin strap was simply attached to the inner lining of the helmet, or probably the helmet may have fit the head so well that there was no need for the additional fastenings. In total, archaeologists have identified 6 types of cheek guards. The most common is this one, with a double cutout. Such cheek guards are found on more than half of all helmets. There was also this one with a double cutout at the front, but this type is less common. And by the way, this form of the H was called in the book bicuspid, and probably this is the exact word that you should use. But honestly, I have no idea what does it mean. Some types, like this one with an eagle's head, are represented by only one example. And these 2 types of the cheek pieces are borrowed from the Italo-Chalcidian helmets, which we will talk about in the next videos. And before we go to the mystery of the triple disc cheek guards, I want to ask you, please subscribe to the channel. My friends often ask me how many subscribers I got, and I'm like, not much yet, I'm just have started. Let's talk about something else. Please subscribe, and I promise I would remind you to unsubscribe when I reach 2,000 or 3,000 of subscribers. And the last one is a triple disc cheek guard. It was found in Bovianum, one of the main cities of the Samnio. Interestingly, cheek pieces of the similar shape can be found in the helmets of the Celtic origin. Such triple disc cheek pieces are often associated with the Celtic or Montefortino helmets. But here we got a problem. In Bovianum, only the cheek guard was found, without the helmet. And this raises the question, is there a connection, and who borrowed this cheek guard from whom? For a long time, it was thought that the Samnites had borrowed this element from the Celts. The origin of this type of cheek guards from Samnite Arctic helmets was first postulated by Peter Connolly. Here is an illustration from his book. Connolly believes that this cheek guards is specifically Samnite. Since the cheek guards has 5 hinges, it must have come from the Arctic helmet, not a Montefortino helmet, which has only 3 hinges. And while the shapes appear similar, note the additional indentations between the discs. This may be missing on some Celtic versions. But what is important, the Samnites had also the similar 3-disc breastplate. And as you can see on the breastplate, these indentations have the function. The side plates has been attached to these indentations between the discs. On the Samnite helmet, the indentations have no practical function and were probably transferred to the helmet as is. So the 3-disc cheek guards on Italic and Celtic helmets probably appeared at least independently. And also it's possible that the Senones borrowed Samnite cheek guards. In general, things are still unclear here. Connolly's statement about the Montefortino helmet is absolutely correct about the number of hinges, but without additional evidence, it would be perhaps some kind of rush to fully agree with the assumption that the Samnites were the first to use cheek piece of this shape. Around the year 400 BC, the Samnites, as well as other Italian peoples, began to switch to the Montefortino type helmet. And we will talk about it in one of the next videos. Thank you for watching and for your interest to the ancient history.